G'day, Heather.
Run me through what Stuart Nash did in 2020.
Well, it related to that dreadful gunning down of Constable Matthew Hunt in June 2020. Eli Epihar shot at the two police officers, you'll remember, when they stopped to approach a crash scene. And looking to help the driver raced off after shooting several rounds at the police officers. A 25-year-old Constable Goldfinch, he was peppered with 4 bullets, but he managed to get away. But unfortunately, Constable Hunt, he was shot 4 times and died at the scene. Now, a few days after that, this is what Stuart Nash, the then Minister of Police, said of the shooting on the Mike Hosking show, and that was within days of the shooting.
It is extremely rare, but it's an absolute tragedy. And, the police family is a very close-knit organisation, and to lose someone like this is just devastating. It really is. But in true police form, they have been incredibly professional. They caught the guy that did it and his accomplice very, very quickly, and now they're building the case. They'll go to court, and let's hope that this guy has many years in jail to contemplate what he has done.
See, on the face of it, people would say, well, good on him. He said exactly what we all were thinking. But the fact is, a case was being prepared for the court. This guy may have been taken in by the police, but we have a judicial system here. You've got to appear in court and plead to the charge. And, a police minister should not be making comments anywhere near the sort of comments he made there. And that was the view, certainly, of the Solicitor General's office. They took a dim view of Nash's outburst, and I'll quote them. They said, although the Solicitor General decided not to prosecute Minister Nash, that doesn't mean that she condoned his comments. Indeed, she recommended to the Attorney General that he speak to Minister Nash directly to convey that his comments were unacceptable and to remind him to not to make public comment on cases before the courts. The Attorney General did so. With this formal reprimand, the Solicitor General considered the matter resolved to her satisfaction. So they had considered prosecuting Stuart Nash because a case can fall over if you've got a minister like Stuart Nash making comments like this.
Why? Because you'd call a mistrial.
Well, of course, you could theoretically do that. And that's why we have a judicial system the way we and the way it should be operating. The Attorney General, of course, is none other than Stuart Nash's current ministerial colleague, David Parker, and he issued the rebuke. Incredibly, you remember that after the 2020 election, Stu Nash wasn't reappointed as police minister. Now, Jacinda Ardern would have known about this. It was swept under the carpet. Jacinda Ardern would have certainly known that this case had been taken up by the Solicitor General and passed on to the Attorney General, David Parker. So he wasn't reappointed. But incredibly, Chris Hipkins, in his cabinet reshuffle, gave the portfolio back to Stuart Nash, having this in the background. He would have certainly known it himself.
Do you think there is pressure on Chris Hipkins to get rid of him because he has breached the cabinet manual now on a number of occasions? Or is Chris Hipkins going to get away with it because there is public sympathy for what a lot of the members of the public will agree with what he said?
Well, that is the problem, isn't it? That, if you respect the rule of law, which is what all New Zealanders should do, regardless of how much you hate the guy that was arrested by the police and believe that he was guilty, you can't assume that it's innocent until proven guilty, and that's the very premise of New Zealand law and law in all Westminster countries. If you compromise that, which is what Stuart Nash has done here, then you undermine the whole legal process. And I think, in my view, Chris Hipkins should be looking at this. He should now probably be reminded of it if he had forgotten about it, and look at whether Stuart Nash is the sort of person that should be in cabinet with his 3 other portfolios.
Probably questions about whether fit to be a minister now. Now, look, there are questions around whether we are actually already in GDP in recession, of course, because the GDP numbers that came out today showing the end of last year, there was contraction in the economy. Probably there's a possibility we're in contraction in the economy at the moment, so we might be in recession already. Does it matter?
Well, it matters.
For the election?
for the election, I think it probably will matter, because a recession does see generally unemployment. So and people
won't be a lot though, Barry. And this is the thing: a lot of people are saying it will be a recession, but it will not necessarily feel that much like a recession.
I mean, technically, we could be in a recession now, and a lot of people, as we all know, are suffering. Certainly, the cost of living is a crisis, and the government's acknowledged that. Look, they'll be pulling rabbits out of the hat between now and the election, and so too will the National Party. Whether a recession, the name recession, will mean a lot is another matter. I mean, we've seen them before come and go. Technical one after the financial collapse in the 2000s. So, I think, we may be there, but whether people notice it in terms of going in to vote in the ballot box is another matter.
Barry, thank you so much. Barry Soper, Senior Political Correspondent, 7 away from 5.